Hey, welcome to Animating for Middleburry Interactive using Adobe Flash CC. My name's WDay, and I'm going to show you from start to finish how to create an animated video for Middleburry Interactive. You'll start it from script stage to receiving the audio, all the way to making a final animated full-color video. Now, this video assumes that you already know the basics of Flash. I have two videos that I recommend if you are new to Flash. One's called Illustrate and Animate in Adobe Flash CC, 15 things you need to know. That one's really good if you're brand new to Flash or if you just need a refresher. The second one is Puppet, Character, Animation, and Design in Adobe Flash CC. I highly recommend that one as well. Okay, so in your email you should have received a file called MIL Flash Template and also some links. So the first thing you need to do is download the MIL Flash Template and open it up in Adobe Flash CC. When you open it, I'm going to explain what you see here. You have on the top a timeline, and on the left you see different layers. Okay, so the very top layer the top two layers should be locked the entire time. So just keep those locked. This top one is the frame. This red frame just gives you a border around your stage or where the video is going to be when you finally export it. The reason it's there is to give you the boundaries, because sometimes your animation gets kind of complicated and you don't know where the boundaries are. So that's there at the very top to show you where the boundaries are. The second layer is called Logo. That just has Middleburry Interactive's logo on the top left. It's kind of a watermark that you'll see throughout the animation. So it should be there the entire time, and it just needs to stay there in its gray color. Alright, third layer is the audio layer. We're going to be delving into that a little bit later. Alright. Now, the fourth one is title. This is where we get started. This is the first step. So, in your title layer, you're going to have your story title in its foreign language. It could be Spanish, Chinese, or French. Those are the main ones. Then you have the story title in English, and then the country origin of where the story comes from. Okay, now, also in your email, there should be a link to instructions that has all the details and descriptions of your story. So go ahead and click on that. In my example, I have Unit 1, Story Greeting. Okay. Now, on the very top, there should be the title of it in the language. This one's in Spanish. So this one says The Mucaro's Feathers. So select that, copy, go back to your Flash file. Now, this title is a symbol. To go inside a symbol, double-click. Okay. Now, each symbol has its own timeline. If you notice on the top left over here, see if I can zoom in here a little bit. Aha. It has its own layers and its own timeline. So this symbol has two layers. This bottom layer is locked. It's just this nice little radial gradient background. And this top one is all the text. Okay, so we're going to be editing and updating the text. So double click, select, and paste. Okay, so there's the title in Spanish. I'm going to go back to my file. Oh, I'm sorry. I did not. That one's actually in English. So that was the English one. I got it confused because it said it had the Mucaro. Alright, so that's the one in English. Now go to the Spanish one. Sorry about that. El plumaje del Mucaro. Mucaro, sorry. There's the Spanish one. Okay, there we go. But yeah, the foreign language one is on top. Excellent. Now the country origin should say it right below. Okay, traditional tale from Puerto Rico. Excellent. And just paste that in there. Alright, now you can make this pretty later. To exit a symbol, you can either go over here and click Scene 1. So right now we're in the Z title symbol, and it is in the main scene, Scene 1. So you can click that, Scene 1, or, just to show you another way of getting out, anywhere where there's nothing in your symbol, just double click and it'll exit you out of that symbol. Excellent. Okay, so you got your title done. Oops. Okay, so the title goes and then it zooms, or it fades out, and then we see a kind of a purplish grayish background, and then this white box and some words on the bottom. So what's this? Well, in every scene, your story is going to have text on the bottom. Okay, let me make sure I'm not missing anything. All right, excellent. So your story text is going to obviously tell the story, but the main reason for these stories is that they're teaching foreign vocabulary words to children in usually the elementary school age. So your vocab words are the main thing that you want to emphasize. Now, whenever there's a vocab word, you're going to put it in this red color, okay? Red number 990000. An easy way to find it, if you don't remember that, is you go up to your fill color and you go to your swatches, and it's this red color, the top left, or I guess of this quadrant, it's the most left, top left red, right there. So it's easy to find. Bam. Okay. Now in that file, there's also going to be, if you scroll down, now first it's going to explain a little bit about the history of the story, the background, some image references. You'll want to read through all of that. If you scroll down a little bit, it will give you the vocab, okay? Vocab. So in this particular story, it is emphasizing some greeting words that you'll need to know to greet someone. To say, well, my name is this, and how are you going? How's it going? So it has yo too, so I, you, he, she. How's it going? How are you doing? See you later. Okay, these 10 vocab words is the total purpose of your story. So make sure you learn those vocab words. Now, if you scroll down a little bit here, it says, okay, English and Spanish story line by line with highlighted vocabulary words. So it has each scene separated for you, which is really nice. On the left side is the English, and the right side is the foreign language. In this case, it's Spanish. So basically, all you do is copy and paste, which is really nice. Now, let's see if we can find the vocab. The vocab should be highlighted. So it's kind of subtle, it's kind of hard to see, but it is bolded. Okay, so it is a little hard to see, but the vocab words are bolded. Now, when you paste it in, you're going to make those red. So, for example, in the first one, I'm going to go in order, right? If I was doing this for real, so I'm just going to copy, go over, and I'm going to paste. Now, if you notice, you see that when I pasted, it pasted in a different size. Now, you'll actually want to keep the same size as the template. So hit Control-Z or Command-Z. What you want to do to maintain the same size and color is you want to select everything except the first word, and then paste. And then go back and delete that first letter. It is kind of a pain, but it's actually easier than updating it a different way. Okay, so you'll notice when I pasted it, the words are kind of down low, and it's outside the frame, that red frame, and it doesn't look very good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bump it up a little bit with my arrow tools, or you can drag it up if you want. And now I need to edit this background box, because that box is there so I can see the text. So try to select that box, hit Q or the free transform tool, and transform it. Now if you don't press anything, it'll transform both sides. If you hold down Alt, it'll transform one side. Okay, so I'm just dragging it so it goes both ways. I'm holding down Alt, and then I'm dragging up the top. And you want to give it some good space so that it can breathe. Okay, excellent. So there is a layer that has text. If you want to, since you're going to be placing all the text in first, I would lock all the other layers so you don't mess around with those, and just focus on the text layer. Okay, the text layer. So you do the text. You set a new keyframe by pressing. You go inside the layer and you press F6. Okay, and then you can update it with the next line of text. Okay, now I'm going to skip until I get a vocab word. So here's one. This is just for example. So ella era muy joven. So ella is one of the vocab words. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm in a new keyframe over here, right? New keyframe, and I'm going to double click. I'm going to select everything except the first letter. I'm going to paste. Now, since ella is a vocab word, I'm going to double click, select the text, go up to my paint bucket color thing over here, click it once, go down to this red color, click, and then it'll update that color. Okay, now as far as designing text and making the text look good, one thing I like to do is make the top and bottom lines equal. So it's kind of trial and error. So maybe I'll go right here and press enter and see if that lines up. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. And then if you want, you can make this box a little bit closer. Maybe this needs to be in the middle more. If you want, you can get your align window. Let's see, align window. And if you align, click this align to stage, and you hit, let's see which one, this one right here, it'll align it right in the middle of the entire thing. So if you want to make sure that these are exactly in the middle of your thing, then you can do it. And it's a really nice button to do. Okay, so make the text and the background box look good. You don't want to put them too close. Okay, something like that I think would be a little too close. So give it just a little bit of breathing room. Excellent. Okay, so you'll line up the entire text. Now I'm going to show you how to do the audio. So we've talked about vocab, taught you how you go through the script. Now let's do the audio. Now you can also do the audio before you do the words, and there is actually an advantage of doing that, which I will show you. Okay, so also in your email you should have received a link to the audio files. Okay, so this is an example of a link you could see. We use Google Drive, so get familiar with that. Now, if you click on the link, over here it might say Save to Drive, and I would click that. The reason is, if you just try to select all of these at once and download them all at the same time, you can't really do that. So click this blue button will say Save to Drive, and then after it saves, it will eventually say Open in Drive. So click Open in Drive. So once it's saved into your Google Drive folder, then you can select all the files at once. So click once at the top, hold down Shift, scroll down. Sorry, click once, scroll down, hold down Shift, and then click at the very bottom. It will select all of them, and then right-click, and then go down to Download. Preparing to download, it says. Now, what Google Drive does by default, it will put everything in a zipped file. So you'll just have to unzip it. Okay, now I'm going to cancel download because it's going to take a while. Just for example purposes, I'm going to download this one. Now they've numbered these so that they're nice. So they put them in numerical order, and also they give the text of what the foreign language is saying. So it's really nice to help you not get confused. Okay, I'm gonna download this one. Maybe I'll download 2 of them. If you download one at a time, it won't zip them. All right, so go back into Flash. I'll show you how to import the audio. Okay, so go up to File, and go down to Import, and go over Import to Library. Okay, so File, Import, Import to Library. Go to your Downloads folder. Okay, now you can shift-click. You can upload all the audio files at one time, which is nice. So I clicked my 2 files there. Click Open. All right. Now, if you want, you can lock everything except, you can lock everything except your audio layer. Now, I would start the audio a little bit after the title, or just as the title is just fading out. So right here is where the title ends. So right above it, I'm going to hit F6 in the audio layer. Okay, now here's how you do it. With the audio layer selected, or that keyframe in the audio layer selected, I'm going to go to my Properties window, and under here, Sound, it has Name, and right now it's selected to None. I'm going to click this down arrow, and this drop down will have every audio file that I import into the library. So the first one is I want number 1. Oh, you know what? I forgot to say. Actually, the first one is a title. So every one of them is, well, I think, sometimes they give you an audio file that says the title. Sometimes they don't. So it looks like this one, I'm trying to find one that says title that doesn't have a number, but it doesn't look like it's there. So perhaps it's not in this one. All right. So select it again, go to Properties, Sound, and hit number 1. All right. Now you see what that did is it gave you this red thing. This red represents the, oh man, I don't know what to call it, the variance in the voice, in the narration. And what's useful is that it gives you a visual cue of how long the audio is. So this first one lasts this long. What's nice about that is I can know how far my text keyframe should go. So for example, this audio goes all the way over to here. So I could extend my first letters, my first scene with the words. I could extend it until it hits the end of the audio. So an easy way to do this is to click where right before the text ends, and then to drag over until a little bit after the audio ends. And with that just there, I unclicked. Now I'm going to hit F5. F5 will extend wherever it starts on the left to wherever I end that. Okay, so it extends that out. Great. So that tells me where that one ends. Now to simply go back to your audio layer, hit F6, go to your Properties, and select the next audio file that you need. Okay, and do that for the entire animation. Now I think if I was smart, I would have just done the audio first. So put in all the audio files, Now you'll want a little bit of space in between each audio file so that the children or people looking at the files or viewing the animation will have time to digest the information in each scene. So there's no set answer, but just give it some space to begin with. Then once you do your animation, you'll know how much space you need, how much pause you'll need after each scene or in between each scene. Okay, but good rule of thumb is, I don't know, about 10 frames just when you're laying in the audio and the text, and then you can edit it later. All right, so you'll get all the audio, all the text. Now it's time, excuse me, now it's time to storyboard, okay? Now I'm going to show you an example of a storyboard. An artist, Megan Young, did these storyboards. She's very talented. Okay, now for storyboard, all you need is to draw the basic characters. Now it's actually useful before you do this to design your characters. Do your character design before you do this step, because it'll just really help you out as you're storyboarding. Okay, you'll know what your characters more or less will look like. You don't need to solve all the problems, but just do the basics. All right, I'm just going to quickly go through this. Now, her storyboard is great. Just make sure you have the vocab in mind when you storyboard. You want to make sure the student will really understand what the vocab means. I'm just going to scroll through this and give you an example of what a storyboard looks like. She used a light gray color, and now one thing she didn't do is at the bottom she didn't finish laying out the text completely, but that's okay. So things are staged nicely, characters are big. In this story they use speech bubbles because they're talking, which is great. Okay, so lay out all the basic design of what you want your scenes to be. No motion is needed at this point. Just make sure you have all the scenes set up so that you can animate these later. Alright, now that's the first step. That's a lot to do. But once you get that laid out, you're in a good spot. Now the second main part is creating an animatic. So turning your storyboard into a basic animation. Now I'm going to show you two types of animation in Flash. There's many types, but I'll show you how to do a basic 2-frame cycle animation. This should be cycle animation, and a classic tween. I will show you what that means. Okay, so in your storyboard, let's say that in this story there's these birds that are dancing around and having a party. So let's say you want this bird, for example, playing the drums so that its wings are beating on the drums. So make sure when you do your now look at that other video I did of puppet animation with characters. All of these you should break into you should organize into symbols. So the body of the bird is a symbol, each wing is a symbol. If you didn't do that, that's fine. You'll just do it at this stage when you make the animatic. So basically what you want to do is get your lasso tool, if it's not a symbol already, and select the part that you want to create a symbol of. So I selected it. I'm going to hit F8 and I'm going to name it. I'm going to say wing. Okay. Now since these wings are probably symmetrical, I'm going to erase this other one, and after I animate this one, I'm going to copy it and paste it over there. Okay, so I have my wing symbol. Now I want to make this wing symbol animate. So I'm going to select the symbol and I'm going to put this symbol inside another symbol. So I'm going to select it, I'm going to press F8 again, and I'm going to say wing beating drum. Oops. Oh, that's not how you say. Yeah, anyway. All right, now go inside this symbol, and you'll see that you have a brand new, fresh timeline. Click and drag, and then press F5 to extend your time a little bit, extend that frame. Now, I want this to be a basic 2-frame animation where it goes up and down. So, first, let's go to the beginning, and let's do the first position. Now, if you notice, let me zoom in here. Each symbol has a anchor point. To edit this anchor point, you'll need the free transform tool. So hit Q. Now you can edit this little dot. Now you put it wherever you want it to rotate from. Okay. Now since the joint of the wing is probably there, I'll put it right there. If you ever want to reset your anchor point, just double click it and it'll go back to, whoa. I'm not even sure where it went. Oh, it went to the corner. Okay, so double click it and it'll go back to a default position, which might be the corner. All right, so put it where you want it, and now it'll rotate from that point. Wonderful. So my starting position, I want it to be up, and let's go forward in time a little bit and set a second keyframe. Click, and then I'll hit F6, and then I'll drag it down to my ending position on the drum. Okay, so now if I scroll through this, up, down, wonderful. Now if you want, you can make these equal. See, this one goes to frame 20, and this one goes to 45. So I want it to end at 40. I'll select this from 40, click and drag. Now I'll hit Shift F5 to take away some of that. Okay? Now I'm going to go outside of this symbol, go to scene 1. And now I'm going to press Enter to see what I got there. Ooh. It goes up and down. Wonderful. Now, I think that was a little slow, so I'm going to go back into it, and I'm going to make it smaller or a little faster. So maybe I'll make it just 10 frames each position. So I'll click and drag, Shift F5, and then I'll click and drag on this one as well. And tweak it as necessary, as needed. Now let's go back and see how fast that plays. Boom, boom. Excellent. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to copy this symbol and paste it over here. So I could select it and hit copy and paste, or Control C and Control V, or Command C and Command V. Or I can simply hold down Alt and drag. Okay, now right click it and say Transform, Flip Horizontal. Now you're going to use the, because characters are symmetrical, you know, we have 2 eyes, 2 arms that are identical usually, you'll want to flip things very often. So create a keyframe shortcut or a keyboard shortcut for flipping things horizontally. I use F1 to do that, so I can just hit F1 and flip it. Now let's take a look at this. Okay, boom, boom. Oh, I guess I copied that twice. Now, if you notice, it beats, both wings beat on the drum at the same time. I don't necessarily want it to do that. I want one to go down while the other goes up. So here's the way you can do this. It's very easy. Go inside your symbol and notice at what frame does the other one begin. So this one goes to 1 to 10, and then at frame 11, it starts the new one. Okay? So I want this right wing to start at frame 11 and just cycle from there. So it's very easy to do this. Simply click on this one, go to your Properties window, go down to the Looping tab, click that down arrow if it's not open, and right here it says First. first. This means that when this symbol begins, it will the first frame that it starts at is at number 1. Well, we want our first frame on this symbol to begin at frame 11. So what we can do is just click it once and type in 11. You can also click and drag if you want it to. But if you want it to be exact, just type in the number you want. Okay? So now, hit play. It'll play it like I want. Excellent. Okay, so that's the first basic type. In these animations, you can get as complicated as you want, but for the most part, all you need is a simple 2-frame cycle animation that gets the idea across. And you can do a lot of things with that. And in this example, you'll see in Megan's final animatic, a lot of things are moving. I'll show you that example once I show you how to do a classic tween. Now, in this story, what the artist wanted was these bushes to start covering the birds, and then they kind of slide open. Now, in order to do a sliding tween or a classic tween, each symbol needs to be on its own layer. Okay? It won't work if there are more than one symbol on a layer. So make sure one symbol is on one layer. Okay, so each of these bushes are on their own layer. 1, 2, 3. What you do is you set a... Oh, sorry about that. What you do is you set a keyframe for the beginning position. So this one is right here. F6. Oops. You see what happened there is sometimes when you select it, it'll select the entire range. And then if you hit F6, it'll put an individual keyframe on every single frame. It's annoying, and it sometimes crashes Flash. So if you can, just hit Control-Z and go back to it. You'll just want to select one of those. Hit F6. Now this one is right here. You see, if you select it on the on the stage, it'll select everything. But if you select one frame here, it'll just select one. And then select one here. And you could also click and drag, which is easy. So that's my beginning position on each of these layers. Then I'm going to go forward in time. Sorry, let me just delete that so I can do it from scratch. Forward in time, and I'll click and drag one frame on each of those layers. F6. Now I'm going to do the ending position. So I'm going to drag it over here, drag this one up, and drag this one over here. Okay, now I'm going to do what's called a tween. All I have to do is right-click anywhere in between those two keyframes and say create, classic tween. So let me undo that. Right-click, let me zoom in here. There we go. Create classic tween. There it is, zoomed up a little bit. And you'll notice it'll make this bluish and give me a little arrow. And look, wow, it animates on its own. Wonderful. Okay, now you can also click and drag to multiple select layers. Right click, create classic tween. And let's see what it does. Woo! Nice. Now also I would highly recommend creating a keyboard shortcut for doing classic tweens. I like to use F9 for that. Alright. And those are the two basic types of animation. Now, there's more complicated ways to make them ease in and out, but don't worry about that for now. When you're putting together the animatic, just focus on doing tweening, classic tweens, and 2-frame cycle animations. Alright, now it's time to show you a finished animatic. I'm just going to scroll through it. I'm not going to play it real time. I just want to show you the things that this artist Megan put in there. Okay? It'll go by fast because I'm just scrolling through it. But as you'll see, there's a mix of now this one's interesting. This one right here is a 2-frame cycle animation with a motion tween, or sorry, not a motion tween, but a classic tween. Okay, very effective but simple. Eye blink, excellent. Eye blinks go a long ways. Now these are really, really simple, but remember that the audience is children and that a little bit goes a long ways. If you think of many of the YouTube videos that are popular nowadays, the duck song, for example, very simple animation. You don't need to know complicated animations to tell a story. All right. So a finished animatic has lots of fun little animations throughout, eyebrows moving, wings moving, limbs moving. Very nice. And here's the, oh yes, here's the money shot at the very end. I want to show you it. Aha. Then the owl flies across the moon. Excellent. Okay, that's a finished animatic. That's the second stage. Okay. Animatic's done. Now's the time to update the illustrations. Now what's nice with Flash, if you created your animatic correctly, you should have made every part that you're going to reuse a symbol. For example, you created one wing, you made it a symbol, and perhaps you've used that wing, I don't know, 10 times throughout your animation. Or maybe there's a scene where your person walks or the bird flies, and you reuse that symbol in many different scenes. All you're going to have to do is make that symbol, you're going to update that symbol, you're going to illustrate it, and make it look pretty, and it'll update every instance of that symbol in all of your scenes. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you a finished example. If that doesn't make sense, contact me. I'll let you know how to do it. Now, I'm going to show you a finished animation, what it looks like, completely finished, approved by everyone. Now, this is a different story. Notice my title screen. Now, you don't have to make your title screen as complicated as this, but I wanted to make it a little bit pretty. You can get creative. You can use different fonts, make it look great, but you don't have to. Okay, I'm just going to scroll through this one. This one's the story of a lumberjack. But notice, everything's fully animated. My character is a puppet, so each part of him I can animate on different layers. And I created him in mind with it being a puppet in mind. But everything is basically just 2-frame cycle animation, or just basic classic tweens from an object moving over to the left. Now, it can go a long ways. This is just an example of some of the things you can do with it. Now, there's more complicated animations. There's straight-ahead animations for that smoke, but you don't need to do any of that unless you want to. There's a lot of things you can do, breathing. Possibilities are endless. It's very exciting, the world of animation. So I just wanted to show you a finished one of what it looks like with the text at the bottom. Now, one thing you're going to have to do as well is one of the final versions you do is when the audio says the vocab word. So, for example, in this one, the vocab word is school. That's one of the vocab words. La escuela is school. And when the character says school, they wanted a highlight to be around the object. Now, in some cases, you can't put a highlight around your vocab, but when you can, you should do that. Now, I'm going to show you a really easy way to put a highlight around your vocab symbol. Just for an example, let me just put this up here. Let's say, just to prove that I'm doing it from scratch here. So this is my symbol, and this is my vocab word, maybe the school. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. So copy paste, and over here in the properties panel I'm going to go to color effect, and I'm going to go down to tint. Now tint, if it's at 100%, you get to choose whatever color. It'll fill your entire symbol with whatever color you want. So in most cases a white highlight is the best. Okay, so click white because that's the one that's most useful. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this behind that one. So what you need to do is go to right click it, hit arrange, and send backward. There's also some keyboard shortcuts, so send backward. Now what I want to do is I want to make this a little bit bigger. So hold down shift so that it maintains its proportions. Drag it on the outside, and then adjust where necessary. Now this was a quick and easy way of creating a basic outline around your symbol. Now that is good enough. Okay, it's not perfect. You can tweak it. Another way of doing it, it's more complicated, but why not? Let me just show you if you're interested. Another way of doing it is you have your symbol, copy paste it. This time, instead of doing what we did before, I want to break this apart. So what does breaking apart mean? Well, right click it. If you break a symbol apart and you keep on hitting Command B or Control B, it'll break it down to its pure form, just paint. Okay? Now if I break something apart, it still saves the symbol in the library, so don't worry. So I'm going to break this apart. I'm going to press Control B until everything is just these dotted things. That's how you know it's just, I don't know, Flash does these dotted things to show that it's pure paint. Now with everything selected there, now I'm going to make it white. Okay? Now I can put this behind my symbol, and I'm going to line it up exactly behind it. Well, what's the point of that? Well, now what I can do is I can give it a stroke. So what I can do, maybe I'll reveal it a little bit. What I can do over here, hit your stroke or ink bottle tool, or S, and give it a stroke, a white stroke. Stroke that on the outside, and double click so it selects everything. Now line it up. Now what that's going to do is that's going to give me a clean stroke all around the entire thing. Now if I want it to be bigger, oops, I'm just going to select the stroke, go to properties, make the stroke bigger, make that highlight as big as you want. Oops. Paste that back in. Oops. Okay, and then I have a nice clean highlight around the whole thing. Alrighty, that is the basics of start and finish how to create your video. If you have any questions, please contact me. Thank you.